Well, guys, I lied. I thought I could get all the interviews done on a second episode, but we're going to have to do it in three. There's just too much to edit down into two. Our first guest is Jason Santuci of Gemintronic. Jason is a programmer for the Atari 2600 console, among other consoles. He's a great contributor to the channel, and I appreciate him being here. Well, it's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce a friend of mine. His name is Jason Santuci. Jason,
Oh, oh, that's me.
yeah.
All right.
Hey, Jason.
What's
How you
up?
doing, brother?
Yeah, pretty good. Not 1,000 subscriber good, but pretty good.
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm really grateful and thankful for that. Um, Jason is a friend of mine that I met in early 2022. Jason has he's a programmer for the Atari 2600, and I think he actually programs for some other systems too. I'm gonna let him talk to you about
Tennis
that.
is trying to get into other things, but
Yeah, I'll let you talk about that. But I met him early 2022 at the Korg's Gaming Convention in Columbus, Ohio in early 2022. And it was early in my gaming channel, the life of my gaming channel. And I don't think I even had 100 subscribers at the time. And at the time, I'm walking through the gaming convention. It was really hot. They didn't have the air conditioning on, and he's sitting in the back of the the um the room where there's no circulation. I don't know how I could even sit back there. There was just no
free
circulation.
sauna.
It
Great.
was, man, it was horrible. And even though I was early in my channel, I had been doing it long enough that I knew that I was in love with the Atari 2600, and I knew that I was in love with the Atari 2600 homebrew scene. And Jason had a little TV there, and he had an Atari 2600 set up there, and he had a game cartridge in there. First of all, the cartridge, I had never seen a cartridge like this before.
The first all original homebrew double ender.
Yeah, I had never seen one. I'm going to show it. Is it all right if I show it?
Oh yeah, please.
Okay. First of all, the game that was playing was a game called Game Panic 3. Is that right? Was that the game that was playing?
Game Panic 3 plus a smaller game called BLT Blast.
Yeah, that's what was on there. That's what I got here. And so this is what I got. I know there you go. It's a little bit better picture. But Game Panic 3 was playing, so this is a two thing. You put it down here and you get it, and then you turn it over and you play BLT Blast.
Zonac style.
Yeah, you got a 2-for-1 deal. And I I said, that's cool. He said, well, start playing it. So I started playing. I didn't really understand exactly what was going on, but he tried to explain to the best of his ability with, it's like trying to explain the laws of thermodynamics to a labradoodle, trying to tell me what to do. But, because trying to get through my thick skull. But, I knew it well enough that I liked it, and I thought it was really cool. And not only that, but for me, I thought I was doing my part to help support the homebrew community, and I thought, well, I'm buying this bad boy.
Yeah.
So I took
Two
it
games
home.
for old systems.
Yeah. So anyway, I took it home, and I started playing it, and I thought this is really cool. And so I reached out to Jason, and I asked him, because like I said, I was early in the channel, and I said, hey, Jason, I was wondering if you could do me a favor. And I thought, he'll probably say no. Um, would you do me a favor, brother? Would you be so kind as to maybe let me have a digital copy to let me review on the channel? I promise I won't give it out to anybody else. I promise I would never ever do that. I just want to review it on the channel, for my audience. He said, well, sure. And then he just out of the blue, he asked me, he said, uh, you have a logo, right? And I said, yeah. And he says, do me a favor. Can you email me a copy of your logo? And I said, well, yeah. And I was like, well, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, why would he want to do that? I said, well, sure. So I emailed him. He gave me his email address, sent it to him. It was maybe an hour, maybe that. I don't think it was an hour later. It wasn't that much longer.
We got to work.
Yeah. And so I got an email back from him, and I got an attachment with the bin file. And so I loaded it up in the emulator. And when I started the ROM, there's my logo in the game.
Oh,
I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Retro Bliss logo is in a video game. And I hadn't even had 100 subscribers yet. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And you know, for me, it was exciting because it was like it gave legitimacy to Retro Bliss Gaming, because here a video game programmer put a logo inside a video game. So I thought it was so cool. And my audience, the audience that I had, and even since then that I've showed it to and has seen that, has complimented and thought how awesome that was that Jason did that. So first of all, I want to tell you how awesome and how much that meant to me,
oh yeah,
Jason.
perfect. Welcome. I think Zero Page Homebrew thought it was kind of a way to watermark the ROM so they won't pirate it. But I just enjoy his personal touches like that since I can.
Well, it was amazing to me, man. I just thought, wow, this is amazing. I just love it. It's great, man. You know, I thought I was it on a stick then. You know, I thought, oh man, I've made it now. Yeah. I already I'm gonna get my 1,000 subscribers for sure now. So anyway, I went ahead and back then I kind of understood the game better after playing it. Then of course since then I've played probably hundreds of different games since then, and of course we streamed some games today. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I had kind of forgotten the idea of Game Panic 3 until a little earlier today, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I remember now, I remember how to play. But anyway, later on in that year, late last year, I went to Torgs in Columbus, and John Hancock was there, and John was selling a game called Retro Game Quest, and he was selling a game called Game Panic. And I've got those game cartridges. I'm just going to kind of show people what they are.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, that's the game art. And I'll see if I can do the end label. I'm not real good at that. So anyway, okay, that's the and well that game is that first of all, that's John Hancock. He's got a little what that beanie helmet is. It's got a helicopter on it. But what that is, you're John Hancock in the game, and the idea is that you have to find game cartridges, and you have to match them to the video game consoles before time runs out. And there's easy levels, and then there's harder levels, and then they have like random levels in there. And so that is a really cool game. Well, John Hancock was selling it. I thought, well, I'll buy it. You know, it's cool. It's an Atari 2600. It's a homebrew. I'll get that. Jason Santuci. That is awesome. It's like, wow, that is so cool. And then Game Panic,
based off of Plane and Tank, that little Radio Shack LCD game.
That's another one by Jason Santuci. So and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So Jason, what I want to do right now, because this is kind of an off the cuff interview, what I want to do,
I can't prove
it. That's what I say. You can't blame me. I don't do nothing. Tell us a little bit about how you got started with programming, and especially for the 2600, and then explain to us a little bit about some of the games. I have a link in the description of the video, but how what games you have on your website that's in the description.
Yeah, I think at gemintronic.com, I've got a releases page where you can see a bunch of games I've done over the years. But it was basically in 2007, I started with Atari Age and Atari Basic, making games, starting with that Drunken Pooper that you showed off recently. And just
That's an awesome game.
built enough of a war chest to go out and try doing retro gaming development and publishing just as a full-time thing. So by 2015, I incorporated into Gemintronic LLC. So that's both my nickname and my company now. And we've continued to just work with everything, do everything. We've done commissions, contracts, collaborations, a whole bunch of other things that start with C, and mostly Atari 2600 games and one or two Genesis games. And I'm starting to get into that more.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what's going on with the Genesis because I just recently found out that you're doing that now. So and I there you have a number of the 2600 games that I actually don't have yet now. Some of the 2600 games are available, I think, as a download, but there are most, a lot of them are for purchase. And so those are going to be on my list, but there's one in particular that you just recently wrote that is of particular interest to a lot of people in the homebrew community right now. That is stirring up a lot of interest and
Oh,
buzz. It's called Dragon Chalice,
oh
and
yeah.
this thing is amazing. It's an amazing game. Um, Tell us about Dragon Chalice. It's a great game. Tell us about it.
Well, basically, after Retro Game Quest, and before that, there was a game called Nabbit Rob where I tried to have you play as the bat, but due to some issues with the publisher, never really came to fruition. So I used that same engine with John Hancock and made Retro Game Quest, where you fly around on your beanie copter trying to put the cartridges back in the right places. And, I wasn't through with top down adventures. So I went big as I could
You sure did.
without getting into any special, funky, weird cartridge thingies. And the best you can do right now is 32K ROM, no RAM. So I used that as the max specification and made the ginormous, hugest, biggest top-down adventure-like adventure that you could make. And so I fit in a lot in there. I fit two-player simultaneous co-op, a gajillion game variations, about 255 easy mode, 255 normal mode, expert mode, and password system and fancy high-res title screen, all that great stuff. So I'm really proud of it. I'm glad people are playing it.
You have a reason to be proud of that thing. I mean, I can't believe what I've seen of that game so far. I'm still learning. I haven't beat it yet. I'm still working on that because I just recently got it. But this thing, first of all, it does have a password system in there, so it will save your progress. And what's interesting about this game, and I've not seen this in an Atari game really hardly anywhere, is you have made a creative use of the fire button. You're
Oh yeah,
the
couch compliant.
Tell us about this, because I can do it, but you can explain to us what you've done with the fire button.
Well, there's this concept that's been floating around on the forums where people wanted games where you didn't have to get up off of your tuchus and go and reset the game or fiddle with switches. You just wanted to sit there with your joystick and play with your lonesome. So, in order to facilitate that, we designed a system where just a single button can do many, 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 many things. So with Dragon Chalice, you can just short tap and your dragon goes roar. And if you're at a lever, you can tap it a little bit harder and it toggles the lever. And then if you tap it even longer, then your items swap. There's 2 inventory slots, one to your bottom right, one to your bottom left. And occasionally, especially in expert mode, you have to switch slots. Or say if you have an item that you want to keep, but if you grab it, it's going to fall out of your inventory and go back into your yellow castle. So what you do is you hold down the fire button even longer and bloop, it swaps the items left to right, right to left. And then after that, you press it even longer and your dragon starts to flash. And that's a warning sign that if you didn't really want to reset and go back to the password screen, now's the time to
Let go.
Release the button.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it goes back to the password screen. You don't lose everything. Your items are saved in your yellow castle and it shows you your current password. So your progress is saved. You can, there's a place in at least the manual for my version of Dragon Chalice where you can scribble down your 6-character password. So no save key support, but not everyone has a save key. So password is the next best thing.
It's amazing. And I told you when I first got the game, in the manual, you have a map. Actually, you have a few maps. Okay. And the way it's, first of all, if you like adventure, you're going to love Dragon Chalice. Okay. Because it's definitely an adventure type game like this. But the thing about it is, I told you when I first saw it and I started exploring, and the way it was, if you didn't have a map at all, you would be in trouble. It'd be like trying to play Metroid, the first Metroid on NES.
Been there.
It'd been a mess. Because there's so much going on in this game. There are so many rooms, and you have the yellow. What is that? What's it called? The yellow.
So, each game variation 1 through 255 has 4 different kingdoms: the yellow kingdom, the red kingdom, the green kingdom, and the white kingdom. And they're each 8 by 8 screens big. So 255 easy mode, 255 hard mode, 4 kingdoms, each with 8 by 8 screens. So little big. Not small.
Yeah. And so first of all, whether you have a save key or not, you're gonna have to save your progress. You're gonna have to find a way. So the password function on there is a must, and that's genius. It's genius that you were able to do that on an Atari 2600, even at a 32K on a 32K cart. That's just amazing to me. I think the only other game that I know of it's a homebrew also, is Lode Runner. That's the only one that I know of. There might be others, but the only other one that I know of is the homebrew Lode Runner.
And that's where the 32K ROM comes in, because about 4K of that, due to my wasteful programming practices, is all a password screen. So, and that's about Pac-Man, isn't it? So you could fit Pac-Man into my password screen.
Well, tell Todd Fry to make some creative use of that 4K, will you?
Yeah. He's fried out.
Oh, don't get me started on Todd Fry right now. Anyway, he could take some lessons from you, man. I'm telling you what. Oh man. I almost every programmer that I've ever talked to, or anybody, even my faithful followers and subscribers that I've talked to about Pac-Man, they know how bitter I am about that Pac-Man 4K, man. That was a mess. When I was a kid,
I've tried to avoid Flickr because Pac-Man, and Activision had a bug up their bum about flickers. So I figured, well, you know what? I will try to make as many games that do not have flicker as possible. So Game Panic 3 was specifically designed to never flicker. Dragon Chalice, not that fortunate because you got two players simultaneous and the treasures and the monsters, it just wasn't possible.
But the flicker that there is, first of all, your character sprite, I don't recall flickering. The things that do flicker are the monsters that are coming at you, and it doesn't flicker so much that you don't know that they're coming at you and you don't know where they are. You still know where they are, and you still know what direction they're going. So it's not,
I made them big, so
they are big. Yeah, the
that's
sprites are nice. They're good size, so you know where they're at. So anyway, we may be doing a little two-part deal here. We got a few more minutes here, but we're gonna continue on because I want to hear some more about what's going on with your games. Yeah. So anyway, I am so excited to get through this game, but I know it's going to take me some time. This is so exciting for me to have this in my collection because I am such a homebrew fan. Now I want to remember I told you I was going to be candid with you. Okay. Now as you know, this is in the two-part episode of our 1,000 subscriber celebration. In our first episode, I had John Champeau. Now, John Champeau is well respected in the homebrew community, and is considered a master programmer for the 2600. Now,
absolutely.
Having said that, one thing that John has said, even though he is well respected and he's gotten accolades, and to be honest with you, some of my favorite games on the 2600 are the ports that he has done for the 2600. You know, there's some of my favorite games for the 2600. But one thing that he has said to me was that he's not a creator. You know, he can take a game that's been that exists and try to port it over to the 2600 the best he can. He's okay with that because he knows he understands the mechanics of the game, and he tries to make it happen on the 2600 given the limitations of the system. But he cannot. I'm sure he could if he tried, but he's not. He'll tell you he's not really good at that. But that's something that you are good at. You're excellent.
There's two different kinds of programmers. There's the engineering type that loves specifications. They love going into the bare metal, and the process of coding is very important and very exciting to them. And then you have goofs like me that can only use basic, and I'm saying, ooh, what if I made a game that did this and this and this and this, and you could do this? And so it's the creative types versus the engineer types, and both make great games for different reasons and different audiences. So I celebrate him. It's something that I could never do. However, would he want to do a game like Dragon Chalice? Probably not. And that's okay. That leaves room for both of us.
Well, you know, as much as you celebrate him, I guarantee you that he celebrates programmers like you.
Oh,
you know, because he'll tell you that he probably could never do a game like Dragon Chalice. It's not, you know, now that he sees the idea of it, maybe, but you created that. You already created
and I would like that side to try. Now that the IP situation with trademarks and copyrights is getting so nasty, I would like to see them try, you know, just dip their toes in the water. And he's trying. He's like elevator agent. You know, he's getting there to that almost original space. And if you could combine those awesome technical skills with even just a smidgen of just not someone else's game, I'm sure it just blow up. So
Yeah.
this is their time to shine, and it's my time to shine too, because normally people would just play the same game with better graphics on the same system. But if there's room for people to make different games and different experiences, then I'm all for that. I'm right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John, we're going to take a quick break here. I want to show some people some of your games here, just a couple quick clips, and then
Oh,
when we come
please.
back, I want you to talk about some of your games, okay?
Gotcha.
All right. Well, we're back. Well, Jason, so those are just a few of your games. Of the games that you have programmed, which ones are your favorites?
Ah, all of them. It's a blanket excuse, but I'd say even Drunken Pooper, my first Atari 2600 game, I managed to do a lot and get it done. That's the problem with a lot of people that are creative, is that they have so many ideas and they don't manage their time properly, and sometimes they just create impossible goals. But each of my games is it's complete. And once they're complete, you go on to the next game, and that's your next favorite. You go on to the next game, and that's your favorite, because you actually did something creative that people can enjoy. So, starting from Drunken Pooper and Boss and Retro Game Quest and Up Plus, Up Plus Plus, Up Plus Plus Plus, all of them are just fantastic. Now, not everyone agrees with me, and I learned from that, and I love that too. Collision sucks. Like, yeah, it does. And then I move on to the next project and hopefully do better. So I can't pick out any that are the best, because the next one that I make is the best.
So, well, then let me rephrase the question then. So, out of the ones that you sell, which ones seem to be the more popular ones?
Um, that's a good question, because in the retro game world, if you're just a rookie publisher and developer like me, you don't really get real popular. But I think the ones that have gotten a lot of good attention are things like Up Plus, because it's kind of flips the switch from Breakout. You are fighting against the ball and paddle this time. And I think people really appreciate that kind of novelty. Um,
It's cool.
Retro Game Quest was pretty good. I tried to get that Nabber Rob game, its predecessor, out, and I thought that was pretty neat that you get to play the bat and fly around and annoy things. But with John Hancock and his popularity and his input, I think I created a better variation of that so that, you know, the bat's fine, but John Hancock flying around on his own beanie copter, that's particularly unique.
It
So,
is unique, although it gets out of control sometimes.
yeah, that Game Panic 3, I had a Game Panic 2, which was a Sega Genesis title, and that wasn't really much of a game. I'm still getting my legs with the Sega Genesis. It was actually more of a marquee for people. I made it so that everyone could put their personal messages inside the game, kind of like how I put your logo and your face on some of the Genesis ROMs. Well, I tried to make it so that people could special order the cartridge with their own happy birthday, happy whatever, hello, John, whatever. And it didn't catch on because I'm just completely antisocial. And apparently that extends to my company and its popularity too. So it was okay. But Game Panic 3, going back to the Atari 2600, I took the concept of the plane and tank, which you move in one dimension. You move left, you move right, that's it. Game Panic 3 now adds height to it because you get to take the elevator and move through floors and get chased down by monsters. So I learned a lot since the original Game Panic, and I think it shows. Especially there's an attract mode. I try to put that into a lot of my games because it just adds that professionalism that you expect a Atari 2600 or an arcade game to have, and add a lot of variation where I could. And once again, no flicker. Uh, Dragon Chalice, the next game up, took me about 6 months, and I managed to pack as much as I could into a plain old 32K ROM, which is about the largest that you can make without being Atari age. So, I mean, that I can't imagine anything more with over 512 different game variations.
That's a massive. It's massive, man.
It's not perfect. It's not pick up and play. You do have to read the manual because there's
Yes,
so
you
much
do.
going on. But it makes sense for the scope of the game. So I'm very proud of that. And I'm kind of ready to move on to the Atari 7800 and the Genesis now. I think that's the best I can do, with exception of one secret idea that I'm still playing with.
Uh-oh.
Would make the largest Atari 2600 game ever. And that includes the Rambo multi-game 64K thing. It's nothing in compared to this. But we'll have to see about that.
Are you sure you don't want to let Retro Bliss scoop everybody? I'm
Well,
kidding.
I would say that on the Atari Age forums, I've been trying to work with this new format. It's called a bank switching scheme. It's where the Atari really only has 4K at a time that you can play with, but you can switch with special hardware inside the cartridge to a different 4K and a different 4K and a different 4K.
Right.
And that's how the old multi-pirate games managed to fit so many games into one, is that they could switch between banks and switch between games. Well, CPU is on the Atari Age forums figured out a method to get 256K ROM into one Atari 2600 game. And on top of that, extra RAM, which you're always fighting for RAM in an Atari game. On a computer, you have ginormous amounts of memory that stores where the cursor is, where your mouse is, what my mouth is doing. But on the Atari 2600, typically I only have 26 variables for the entire game, for the password system, for moving your characters around, for how angry the monsters are. 26 variables that can only store 0 through 255. So with CPU is new bank switching scheme, not only do you get a ginormous amount of memory as far as ROM goes, read-only memory, the 256K, but he also adds extra RAM so I can store more things that are happening inside the game. So with that, you can make the biggest single game possible on the Atari 2600. There are like Bad Apple and some things that might be bigger technically, but is that all game? Is that level? Is that items? Is that characters? Is that music? Well, no. It's like Bad Apple, it's a movie. So you don't actually use all that space. So the game that I'm planning uses all that space.
Wow. Man, it sounds like there's some good things to come.
There might be. Um, Again, it's been many years in the making, and I have the rights to certain titles to make 100 cartridges before they say, let's review that deal. So this might be a licensed thing. And I don't think I'll ever sell through 100 cartridges. So it hopefully it won't be a Boulder Dash situation where there's still a lot more demand after the fact. I think it's hard enough to sell through a dozen games for me. So I think I'll be okay with 100.
Well, you know where you're going to sell one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're going to let me know. I'll probably find out anyway, but anyway. Wow, that's exciting news though. That's really exciting news. So
the
wow.
newest thing is I'm trying to get into the Atari 2600 sorry, 7800 as I've said. I got that 7800 GD and all the cables and doodads. But I really want to start getting back into Sega Genesis again. So me and John Hancock are currently brewing a new game. He hasn't said anything about it yet, so I'm sort of maybe I shouldn't say anything yet, but we are working on a Sega Genesis title, and perhaps even port that to the Dreamcast.
Wow. That's awesome, man. That's amazing.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that takes some talent to be able to go from one console to another too, because the systems are different and the programming from one console to another, it changes from one to another. You just can't go from one to another just like that.
Well, that's the thing is that again, the engineering versus the creative types. I only choose tools that a mere mortal can use to make games. So everyone's like, wow, you made a Sega CD game, or wow, you made Dragon Chalice. But I get to say, hey, if you have enough time and enough drive to make your dream game, you can make it the same way I did. It doesn't take assembly or C or years of experience in the industry. No, nowadays I use the tools that you use or anybody can use to actually successfully make a game. So for the Sega Genesis, I use Second Basic from Second Dimension. And for the Atari, I use Atari Basic and 7800 Basic. So I make sure that everything I do with enough gumption, anybody can do. So
wow, you know what? It looks like there's some good things to come, and I'm so excited. Like I said, I just got into retro gaming about time COVID hit. I was a PC gamer basically up until that time. And it was because I was cooped up in the house. I started watching YouTube, and it's like, from one thing led to another. Next thing you know, I'm starting to collect consoles and video games, and here I am. And so now, I'm just so excited to see these things happen. And so a lot of this is new to me, and I'm just so excited to see all these things come to fruition. So
but you're a big part of it. It's all about longevity with these kinds of things. If you're passionate about it and you're consistent about it, eventually you get 1,000 subscribers. So you've done a great job, and I've seen the progress throughout your videos. is that we're all goofing off and just having fun and enjoying what we enjoy as kids and adults. But every time you do a show, you're getting a little bit better, and I'm getting better at making games. So I'm sure we'll have a long time to enjoy the hobby together and with our fans.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. We're doing this together. You know, I'm doing this show, but I couldn't do it without games like yours. And I couldn't do it
Yeah,
without subscribers watching those games. And my subscribers love games like yours. And so I really appreciate it, Jason. Thank you so much
thank you.
for being part of the channel and for participating in the 1,000 subscriber episode. Thank you so much.
Um,
So God bless you, brother. You thank the wife for letting me borrow you for a few minutes this
oh
evening.
yes, yes.
Thanks to you guys, I was voted as YouTuber of the month for the month of May. Thank you. But the reason that I bring that up is that I had to nominate 5 gaming channels with less than 1,000 subscribers for the month of June. My next guest was a no-brainer pick for me. I've known him for almost as long as I've had my channel. His name is Mr. Poestyle, and he's a great guy. Well, it's my honor and privilege to bring up a very good friend of mine, Mr. Poestyle. Mr. Poestyle, how's it going, brother?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing real well. Mr. Poestyle and I go way back. We started our channels around the same time. We had a mutual friend that kind of connected us both, and we've kind of grown our relationship together. Hey, Mr. Poestyle, tell us about your channel. What's going on with your channel?
Yeah, well, I do mostly older games. Mostly, I say, because ever since I got the PS5, I've been streaming newer games too. But yeah, it all started out. My son actually wanted me to start a channel because I had all these old consoles and I was playing games all the time. And he was one of those young kids that was into watching YouTubers. That's their version of Hollywood, I guess, you know. So, and he kept getting on me to start a channel, and I kept saying that's not for me. I'm not a camera friendly looking guy, you know, and
Oh, come
not.
on
Yeah,
now. You got a face a mother could love.
right, exactly. And eventually, I think my first video I did want to do was like the new wave toys. I got the 12-inch Dragon Layers cabinet, and I thought that thing was so neat that I did a video on it, and it all kind of started from there. You know, I started doing videos then. So
That's cool. I was on the verge of retirement, and I had bought a PS3 controller, and I thought that I would do just a kind of a 5-minute video on the dining room table, and I still have that video up on the channel up to this day, and I think I got like 1,500 views or something like that
oh wow.
on it. And that's the only reason I kept it up to this day, just because I want something to make fun of myself. You know, it's so primitive, and I did it with my cell phone, you know. But anyway, but you know, I love your channel because you do the older stuff, you know, and you're so knowledgeable. The videos that I've seen, because you have a wide array of consoles that you stream on, and the Intellivision, Coleco, the Atari, you know, and there aren't a lot of streamers out there that are doing the older stuff. And I'm an old guy, man. You know, I like these older things, and so that's the kind of thing that appeals to me. But see, the thing of it is, when I was coming up, I had a 2600, and I went from a 2600 to an Atari 800 XL, but I bought that for just basically learning how to program. I didn't really use that as a gaming computer. And I, other than a master system, I kind of got away from gaming until I got into the PC realm, and I was basically in the PC realm up until I started having kids, you know. So anyway, long story short, watching channels like yours has helped me to learn more about some of these older consoles that I missed out on back when I was a kid. So you know, it's been very intriguing to learn. Now, I have to ask you something. You have a friend on your channel that you have all the time. But he's an older gentleman, and I don't know why you have him on there. His name's Old Poe.
Yeah.
Explain to me what's going on with that dude. What's the deal with Old Poe? Tell me about Old Poe.
That happened one day kind of by accident. Okay, you know Off Grid Arcade, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
We joke around. We did a little show. I met him through the same person we talked about. And also Mike CB's Gaming, who now has a new channel that's the Gaming Road Warrior, and G Parker's Arcade. And we had a little show going there a little over a year ago. And then we kind of ended that show, but we still messaged each other every day. You know, we still talk every day through messages. And as a joke, Off Grid did his old character through Snapchat. Like he sent me a picture or message as he was an old guy. And, you know, oh, darn these kids. Well, okay, Old Poe's going to talk back. And these guys got a kick out of Old Poe. And next thing you know, I'm doing whole videos of Old Poe, kind of like, you know, get off my lawn type of stuff. And
I love
Old
it,
Poe only
man.
likes the old systems. And it turned into a whole thing where I made a video. And it was originally supposed to be, this is me 80 some years down the road. Well, now it became Old Poe is in our time. So nobody knows it's Old Poe my dad, is Old Poe me, traveled back in time. I don't know anymore. I sit and have arguments with Old Poe in the videos, so I'm not really sure what he is anymore, but he's there.
Well,
And
you know,
actually, as we speak, a new Old Poe video just now posted as we were speaking. I saw it come up there. I started the upload a couple hours ago, so
I love it, man, because Old Poe, you never know. You might get on your channel and Old Poe may be going through McDonald's and getting an iced tea, or he might be going through a 7-Eleven and getting a Starbucks iced coffee or something, you know, and you just never know. But for those of you who may not know exactly who Old Poe is, it's actually Mr. Poestyle in disguise. But my wife, I'll be sitting there watching your channel, and you know, I'll be laughing or whatever, and you know, it'll come to her that that's you, and she'll say, "How did he get himself to look that old?" And you know what? How do you get yourself to look like that? Because you actually do look a lot older in the video than you really are, because you don't look like that now. How do you get yourself to look like that?
Okay, well, this is the first time I'll reveal it because I've had people ask me that, but it's just a Snapchat filter. That's all it is.
It's
It's a filter.
amazing, man. It's
Yeah.
great. I love it. I love it, man. But keep doing that, because I love your alter ego. It's amazing, man. You know, it's nice to have that variation in the channel, and you know, I don't need to have Old Poe on mine, because I got Old Bliss already on the channel. You know, I got so much old gray on on my I don't know, it's not happening, man. You know, I got a cane in the bedroom already just waiting to, you know, so it won't be long. So
Yeah, Gaming Road Warrior actually on his channel, he only puts out about one video. He does like gaming documentary type things, but he's been adding a lot of humor to his videos. And he just sent me a script. So the last couple of nights, he wanted Old Poe in his next video. I've been doing, that's why the green screen is up. I've been following his script, and it's kind of hard because he lives out in Washington State. So we're on different sides of the U.S. from each other. But I've been following his script, doing my Old Poe scenes. And now I've finally got that all together, and I sent off my video to him. And now he's going to cut it all together with his green screens and put that all together. So eventually he's going to have this edited video out of Old Poe and him together. You know, we're going to have a whole Hollywood video coming out here.
well, man, you know, it's so entertaining. It's amazing, you know, and that's kind of why people watch our channels. It's not just for learning and watching about video games. It's also partially about entertainment. So, you know, it's definitely entertaining. So by the way, there are links in the description of this video for Mr. Poestyle's channel. So you guys that are watching, be sure to subscribe and check out Mr. Poestyle's channel, by the way, which brings me to my next point. Back in May, I didn't even know I was nominated until late in the month, but I was privileged to have been voted in as YouTuber of the month for channels with less than 1,000 votes for the month of May for gaming channels on YouTube. And that and $1.50 get me a cup of coffee. Okay, so you know, be that as it may, one of the responsibilities for the winner is to find 5 nominees for the month following. And so there are qualifications, and I know a lot of people who have gaming channels. There are a lot of people out there with gaming channels, and this is not a disrespect to any other friend that I have that has a gaming channel, but one of the qualifications for being nominated is that they have to have an on-screen personality, and they have to have a good on-screen personality. And in picking a nominee, you came up in my mind as a no-brainer to nominate. Now I had to pick up 4 others. Now those were a little tougher because I wasn't exactly sure who else to nominate. Now that's a horse of a different color. So but you were definitely a no-brainer. So what did you think about that whole process? Because when I contacted you, you obviously had to accept the nomination. That was another thing too. You had to have had accepted nomination, and in doing so, there's been some things, there's been some connections going on between you and some other people. Tell me how this has affected you as a person and your channel and in general.
Yeah, well, at first, yeah, I thought, wow, this is awesome, because I didn't really expect it, and you told me, and I was really honored. I was really honored that you reached out to me about this. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I went on there and I was excited and everything. And I saw the clip you put up and it really touched me. You put that clip up and everything. And then I see Ballistic on there. And you didn't know, you even said that. You didn't know. And I see Ballistic on there and I'm like, my heart just sank then. And it's kind of like what he did whenever he said Luke's Awakening saw his buddy on there for the following month. It's almost the same deal. I'm like, oh no, Ballistic, and it was just like, and I didn't know the other guys, which now I'm glad I got to meet them through there. Mike and Game Closet and everything are really cool dudes. I mean, I learned new channels and subscribed immediately. Those guys are freaking hilarious. And Mike, I've made a friend. I think, at least on my end of it, I made it a friend with him.
Oh, trust me, they all feel the same way about you, man. But go ahead. Yeah.
And I've interacted with Game Closet through his comments, but not as much, as I have with Mike so far. So I think he's just a lot busier guy. I don't think he's been on my videos yet. But then again, my videos are kind of sporadic with work and everything. I don't get them out on a schedule. So,
well, you working 60 hours a week, it's kind of tough, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm kind of living there and sleeping somewhere in between at some point. But,
I don't know how you do it.
But those guys are hilarious. And of course, Ballistic. I've known him, well, saying it as old Poe and one of his videos when he was talking to me. I've known him since he was Ballistic Coffee Baby. Since he only had maybe 2 subscribers and I was one of them, and then he's since met me and blown past me with his subscriber, and the guy has earned it. I mean, he's probably on live right now. The guy shoots ATARI videos 24/7. He's got to be more tired than I am with his work.
I don't think he sleeps.
He cannot sleep.
Sleeps.
He needs to take a rest. He really does, and I understand why he doesn't. But wow. But yeah, he's really earned it. And you guys both being at 1,000+ subs.
Well, I'm retired. I'm not doing anything else.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you guys have definitely earned that.
Well, thank you,
But I mean, I'm so grateful for the nomination for that reason, meeting those guys. But at the same time, I don't know why I said yes, Phil, because I was excited is why I said yes. But at the same time, I cannot stand competition. And I think if I had actually beat somebody like Ballistic, I would have felt bad the entire time afterwards, you know? And I don't know why. That's just the way I've always been throughout my life. It's like I made my channel because my son asked me to. And at first, I did kind of push my content out there in certain groups on Facebook. I never used my Twitter. Like I originally got Twitter because my daughter played basketball all through school, and that's how her coach wanted us to get notifications. So that's the only reason I had Twitter. My daughter's since out and in college, so I still have Twitter. I don't use it for my YouTube. I have Instagram because my daughter's on there, so I don't use Instagram or anything for my own YouTube channel. So I'm still in the 300 subscriber thing there. People keep telling me I need to get out there and share my videos. I probably should. I'm real lazy about that. I did tell some family members, hey, I was put up for this YouTuber of the month. So the votes that you saw, people that came on there, and you'll probably say some of them had my real last name. That's some of my nephews and my sister-in-law and my brother, you know, they're like, I vote Mr. Poestyle. That's the votes you saw on there. I think ATARI Crete came on there, and Willie from Arcade USA. Those guys were great, and they voted for me. And that to me was like, wow, those guys are big time YouTubers to me.
yeah,
They came on there and said something.
they
you
are.
know? So yeah, so that was really cool, you know. But aside from that, it was like I didn't push it too much. I made a thank you video to you. I didn't actually come out and make a video. Yeah, I didn't come out and make a video saying vote for me, because it's like at that point I was kind of like, I kind of hope people vote for Ballistic because this is kind of his last chance, and he really had people who wanted to nominate, you know. And I really didn't think that far ahead of who I wanted to nominate at the time, you know, like he did. He put a lot of thought into that. So
Yeah. Well, you know, first of all, let me explain something to you, man. And I actually have probably more heart to heart with Ballistic and with Mike from Mike's Gaming Gala. Actually, I talked with Scott from Game Closet also. I don't know if we've actually talked a whole lot about this, but you know, the whole process of winning YouTuber of the month, it's not you didn't win from a panel of judges. It's a, you know, people voting you in. So it's whoever went door to door and made cookies and passed them out. You know what I mean? Whoever did the most of that kind of thing, you know, might have won. And that's not a knock on Mike for winning. You know, congratulations to Mike. You know, Mike's got a great channel, and he's very deserving to win YouTuber of the month for the month of June.
Oh, definitely.
But that's not to say that your channel is not worthy of being YouTuber of the month either, or Ballistic Coffee Board, or Game Closet, or Maniaco's Poor ATARI. You know, all of you guys, I nominated all of you guys to win. And as you may remember, the month of June, as soon as I nominated, I took a step back and I didn't communicate with hardly anybody. I wanted to stay as impartial as possible, to, you know, just to show that I wasn't being, you know, showing any kind of favoritism, you know, to any of you guys, even though I've known you the longest, you know, because I want, if I could, I would want all of you guys to win, because I think all of you guys have great channels. But be that as it may, it's not a knock that you didn't win. And it's not a sign that you're not going to succeed on YouTube, and it's not a sign that you're not going to do great things on YouTube. As a matter of fact, I think just being nominated alone is a good sign that you are going to do great things on YouTube, and that you are doing great things on YouTube that you already have. And so I'm really excited to see what you're going to do in the future. I'm excited to see what old Poe does in the future. You know, it's been an honor and privilege to have you as a friend and to see what you've done on the channel. And I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. And so man, I don't you know what, I don't know what else to say, man, because I just you know what, it's just I don't know. I want to see old Poe. I wish he could come out. You know what I mean?
He's in the shower right now.
Oh no, I don't want him coming out. I don't want to come.
I said, well, you can see him. I think his new video just posted. It's actually one. We do a live show, me and Off Grid and Gaming Road Warrior and G Parker every Sunday night. And every once in a while, we'll each do a little segment sometimes on that show. It's on 7 o'clock Eastern. And it's on all 4 of our channels. I did a little segment with him, Old Poe, this past Sunday. And that little segment I made into my own video tonight and uploaded to my channel. So, and it's just him playing trucking on the Intellivision. So
okay, well, we'll have to check that out. You know what, it dawned on me before I let you go, I forgot to ask you. I wanted to ask you. I want to find out, because you have a lot of interesting stories that you talk about when it comes to when you grew up as a kid. You talk about a lot of stories, and I meant to ask you that, and I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off because I wanted to hear about this. I forgot to ask you, what was it like when you were coming up with as a kid? Because you had siblings coming up when you were coming up, when it came to playing video games and going to arcades and going to, like, well, I don't know if it was arcades or, you know, store. Tell us about your video game experience as a kid.
Yeah, we didn't get an Atari until Christmas of '82. And I don't remember being the biggest one that pushed for that. Now, I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and Christmas of '82, I was 9 years old. Now, we knew other kids that had Ataris, but we didn't live right in town. Now, we weren't way out country bumpkins either, but I didn't know a lot of kids that had, kids at school had them, but I didn't go to a lot of houses to play Atari or things like that. Now, my 2 older brothers knew more kids that had Ataris, so they were pushing it all the time. And again, we didn't have cable TV either. We just had the rabbit ears. So you saw Atari commercials. You might have seen them at Kmart, the kiosk and stuff. So, but my brothers were really campaigning for this Atari. And finally, when they have it, and I have a picture somewhere of my brothers with the box, they were so excited. I was opening up something else in the corner, but I distinctly remember that Polaroid picture that my mom still has in the album of my brothers. I was in the corner, and they're over there cheering, and she took the picture of them with that Atari. And immediately, once we got it set up, my dad made the rules. Now, that was his Zenith television, his 25-inch Zenith with the wood cabinet around it. You weren't going to mess that thing up.
That's what my dad did, the same thing.
Yeah. They said that you were going to get burn in from that. So we didn't have any other television at that time. So the Atari was going to get hooked to that. But each kid was only going to get a half an hour to play that Atari each day. So it was like set to a timer. And now they did get us a lot of games for that first Christmas. That was '82. So the system, it was a 4-grain Woody. It came with Combat and Pac-Man, which I know you love Pac-Man for the 2600. Anyway, we got Pac-Man and Combat.
Dude, I got 8 minutes left on the timer here. Dude, my audience already knows how I feel about that. Horrible, 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 man. Oh, man, excuse me while I go throw up. Go ahead, man.
But yeah, well, we got those 2, and then my oldest brother. Now, I don't know how my parents picked who got what, but they just did. They had the other games boxed up, wrapped up for us. My oldest brother got Pitfall. My other brother got Defender. And I got Stampede. And then my dad bought Haunted House as like a family thing, which my dad loves anything Halloween related, and he loves Haunted House. I think that's why they bought that one. So that was our original lineup of games. And we loved them all.
That's not a bad start.
Yeah. But we had a half hour each to play, and that was it. And my sister didn't get anything. Now, at that point, she was already she was about 16, 15 years old. So she was into girly stuff. So she just played whatever when it came her turn. She didn't really care. But we fell in love with all those games, even Pac-Man. Now, we knew what Pac-Man was supposed to be, but we didn't have an arcade nearby. You know, maybe a store would have it or something if you were lucky enough to go there. I think the very first video game I think that I ever played was a local burger joint, Winkies, had Crazy Climber, and I'm pretty sure that's the first arcade machine I ever played.
See, Crazy Climber was a later gen version of the arcade games that I played. My very first was a old Space Invaders, and then they replaced that with a brand new Asteroids cabinet. That was the latest thing to come out. That's how old I am.
Yes, so. I mean, that was my first lineup of games, and I still have all of those. It came to a point there when my kids were small, my mom and dad were playing, and they were going to throw out that Atari. And they went from the oldest down to me, the youngest. They went to my sister, then my brothers, and they all said they didn't want the Atari. And I had my original Nintendo and everything. They said, yeah, your brothers and sister didn't want this. Do you want it? We're going to get rid of it. I'm like, you don't get rid of Atari. Give me that, you know. And then I started collecting again, and then just going nuts and buying all kinds of Atari stuff again. So
see, I was so apathetic about the Atari because I was working during the video game crash. I was 16 in 83. I was a senior in high school. And there were so many cheap, bad games out by the time and I was already beating my brother in so many sports games. He got to the point where he didn't want to play Atari anymore because I was 3 years older than him. I was beating him so bad.
Well, that's where that
came worse than the Steelers were beating the Bengals. You know what I mean? So anyway, he got to. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we ended up giving our Atari to a needy family in our church. They didn't. The kids didn't have anything, so we ended up giving our system away to them. But then, you know, later on down the road, it's like, what did I do? You know, because we had tons of games. We had a bunch of games that we had bought over the years, but you know, yeah. So I get why your siblings didn't really care, but you know, because I felt the same way. But you know, after a while, you know, those are decisions you regret later on.
Right.
So yeah, but man, I appreciate you hanging out with me, man. I'm glad you were telling me those stories because you know what, man, you and I have a lot in common. We come from blue collar. Man. You know, yep. That's what makes this country run, man. You know, right. There's nothing against pencil pushers. We need pencil pushers, but they don't build the bridges. You know, they don't make the steel. You know, they don't deliver the mail. You know,
right. Might sound like a stereotype, Pittsburgh and steel making, but we still do it here a little bit anyway. So
that's right, brother. So anyway, appreciate you, man. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. And congratulations to you, 1,000.
Hey, man, you know what? You're going to be there soon. Just hang in there, and we're gonna do some collaboration here real quick. Okay, me and you're going to figure something out because you're already collaborating.
Going to be seeing you. We're going to be seeing each other in person here, not too far off.
Yeah, I need to get with you because I know that gaming convention's coming up here, and I need to get some info so I can get my tickets. So I was talking to the wife because not only that, but I got to get some hotel tickets too, so I can stay. I don't even know I could drive back to Cincinnati from there, but anyway. So hey, man, I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by, but more power to you, and we're gonna see Mr. Poestyle in the 1,000 episode here real quick. All right. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, have a good one, buddy.
All right, you too, buddy. My next guest is another person I nominated for YouTuber of the Month for the month of June. Game Closet is an amazing channel, and I don't understand why they don't have 1,000 subs yet, but they will have soon. Scott and I have become good friends over the last few months, and I look forward to see what happens for Game Closet. Well, I have with me a new friend of mine, actually not a real brand new friend of mine, a friend that I've had for a few months now. His name is Dr. Scott from the Game Closet. And I have to tell you the story of how I met Scott. As many of you know, I was elected YouTuber of the month for the month of May. And as YouTuber of the month, I had to nominate 5 nominees for YouTuber of the month. And there were qualifications for that distinction, and they had to have an online presence. And you would think that it would be easy to find good nominees for that. And even though I have so many good friends that have YouTube channels, I really wanted to nominate some really heavy hitters, and I really didn't want to just nominate anybody. And I wanted to look and see who was out there. And I was searching on YouTube, and my buddy Brian Ditfield from BD RetroMods, yeah, he's my friend who has made a number of controllers for me. I happened to be cruising through YouTube, and I came across a review that Scott here had done for one of his controllers as well. I've done a number of reviews for Brian, and so I thought I'd check it out, and I liked the review. So I thought, well, let me see what Dr. Scott and Game Closet is all about. So I started perusing through the channel, and as I did, I was thoroughly impressed with the content of the channel, because it is very apparent to me that in this channel that Scott he scripts his content. He puts so much thought into it, and it's very, very entertaining. And he was my #1 nominee. He's the very first person, by far, the very first person that I nominated for YouTuber of the month for the month of June. And so, and as a result, him and I have become pretty good friends just in the past few months. And so what I wanted to do was, because of our friendship that we've had just in the past few months, I wanted to include him in the celebration that we're having here. And I wanted him to explain and talk about his channel a little bit. Tell us about your channel, Scott.
Well, first of all, congratulations on hitting that 1,000 mark. It is not an easy thing to do. It was hard for me to just hit 100 a little over a year ago. But getting up to that 1,000 mark, things like I know start to snowball after that for a lot of people. And, once I hit that 1,000 mark, whenever it happens, about 2028.
No, you'll be there in a minute. You'll be there quick.
I hope that, I hope it does snowball for me too. Well, my channel is, well, let me take it back a little bit. I always call myself Dr. Scott. My fake PhD here from Game Closet University. It was, drawn up by my wife there, but my fake PhD, I always keep it on hand just in case I need to show people that I am a fake honorary doctor. But yeah, that's my thing. I go into a crowded theater and somebody says, can you help this poor woman? And I say, no, but I can play video games with her. No, but I've always been a fan of comedy and action movies and things like that. And comedy really kind of spoke to me at a very, very early age, around age 5. And then later on, when my parents moved, when we all moved to a new house, I started watching MASH. So and here I am, like, say 6, 7 years old. I'm watching MASH, and I'm maybe not understanding it, but man, those guys were funny. And I always loved, a lot of people who are younger may go, Johnny Carson, who's that? Well, I used to watch The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, the king of late night, the guy that everybody since has tried to emulate or copy. And
never will.
Never will. And he was very classy, very funny, and very quick-witted. And as a matter of fact, I was actually born on the 10th anniversary of his show. So, and my mom used to say, hey, every time that I'd be asleep in my playpen. She'd try to keep me up late, and I'd fall asleep, and then the Tonight Show would start up, and as soon as I heard that theme song, I'm like, I'd be a little one. So a lot of the stuff that I try to incorporate into my channel, I've always felt that laughter is the best medicine, and I love video games. So I've said many a time, if you want a super straight review, you don't come to me. I'm not going to give it to you. And sometimes I may not go as in depth as someone might want, but I'm always going to throw the one-liners and the zingers and skits or what have you. Sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller. But my influence is like Hawkeye Pierce of MASH, or David Letterman, or Craig Ferguson, Conan O'Brien, Chevy Chase, Steve Martin. Those are the guys that I grew up watching, and I think that Smart Alec kind of idea tries to come across. And I was always a performer in high school and in college. I was in band as well. I was in all of the school plays and stuff, and I somehow it was always thrust upon me the lead roles, and I always liked the comedic parts. So that's what I try to do, and I try to act as if I am your personal pharmacist for the best medicine ever, which is laughter. So
there you go.
There might be people who will watch the channel who they're not into video games at all, but they may sit there and watch it. And if I don't have anything going on that's like, got some skit stuff here and there, if it's more of just more of just commentary and me throwing some jokes out there along with my analysis of the game and the gameplay, they're still going to catch some stuff in there, and they're going to go, what did he just say? Like, they're going to back it up. So that's what the channel is all about. It's just trying to have a good time. And, there might be people who will go, well, he might be a little dirty sometimes. It's just, well, maybe a little innuendo here or there. I don't throw out the F-bombs like, say, Angry Video Game Nerd does, even though I love his channel and I love his stuff. If I do throw out an F-bomb, it's always beeped out because, you get the idea. I'm being very expletive for a reason, but that's not where I go. That's not what my comedy is. It's not about just, being Cat Williams and throwing the F-bomb out every 3 seconds. So,
you're family friendly a lot of times too, because you include your daughter into a lot of your skits.
Yeah.
So you're not as vulgar as what you think you might be. You're not.
No, I'm not. I'm actually not. My daughter Harley, also known as Harley Fractic, because we do some promotional videos for Perry Fractic's Retro Recipes. We do some of the PCB Way
I saw those. Those are pretty sweet, man.
We have a lot of fun doing those, and she's really great. And she just had her 5th birthday this past weekend, and we've been doing it since she was right before she turned 4. And we just did one off the cuff and sent it to him. And he goes, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, sure. I try to stay out of them as much as possible, or I cover my face up or something, because I want it to be more about her. But she's had some cameo appearances in my videos. My wife has, and a couple friends of ours have. But one of my favorite performances, we had our 1-year anniversary special last July. And a friend of ours, John, who is the owner of Rock'em Sock'em Retro here in Bowling Green, one of the finest gaming stores you'll ever go in. And
I might have to come up there and check it out. You got to give me the tour.
Yeah, and he has a great arcade in there too. A lot of oldies in there, a lot of great stuff. But I had him come on the show and present an award, and of course it was, none of it was real. Of course, there was nobody saying, "Hey, we're going to really vote for people or whatever." So, and some of the people who were being nominated for the best cameo appearance or best guest appearance during the year were like, Master Chief or the Terminator or RoboCop or my daughter. And then when she wins, John, he was real funny because he just ad-libbed it. He's like, Harley Fractic, and John goes, yeah, like that wasn't rigged. And so Harley comes out and she makes her little speech and leaves, and just how she does stuff. she's just not because it's my kid. I have three, and she's just very different from my other two, of course. But she just has a knack for this kind of a thing, for just being a ham like dad. So yeah,
I've seen her in action. There's no doubt that she's a ham. I already know. I can tell you that from what I've seen. she's a natural at that.
Yeah, she's definitely a ham. I'm a canned ham. She's like, natural ham, natural Black Forest smoked.
She's a sweetie. I know that. So what kind of videos do you have on your channel? Like, I know you say you do reviews. Like, let me tell the audience about one of my favorite videos that you have on yours. One of the ones that was one of my all-time favorites. A lot of the people that know me on my channel know that I loathe the original 2600 Pac-Man.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
Tell us about your review of the Atari 2600 Pac-Man. I want you to tell them about it.
I have my screen brought up over here, and my thumbnail. I've changed the thumbnails, pretty much stayed the same, but I've changed the title here and there. And sadly, over the last 11 months, it's only gotten 230 views.
That I don't get that, but we've already had that conversation. But go ahead.
But there's a lot of this. It's very cinematic. And I begin talking about this game. I give you some history about the game, and then I go into the fact that the game, although the best-selling Atari 2600 game of all time, at 8 million copies, because of the pressures that were put on, was it Todd Fry, I believe?
Yeah, Todd Fry,
and some shortcuts that he was ordered to take, and some of the ones that he took on his own, to try to get this thing crammed into a 4 kilobyte cartridge rather than using the 8 that they could have done. It essentially ended up making this game one of the worst video games ever made for the Atari 2600. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people, including myself, and I forget how old I was at the time, maybe 9 or something like that. And my best friend who lived down the street, and we're still very, very good friends today. He's a brother of mine. We were like, oh, let's go get the Pac-Man. We go get it. And you're playing this, and you're just like, this is the best thing ever. We got to bring Pac-Man home. And then like 2 hours later, you're going, we got to bring Pac-Man home because the thing doesn't change. So with the video itself, I kind of give Pac-Man, the video game, its own life. I make it evil. So it's insidious, and you see depictions of a demon behind you.
It will not die.
No, it won't die. And there's by the end of the video, I'm trying to get rid of this Atari cartridge, and you'll see like the Eye of Sauron and stuff like that.
It's amazing. The whole video is just amazing. It's entertaining. It's a movie all in its own right. Yeah, go ahead.
I end up having to kill the thing, I think 5 or 6 times in the thing. And we start off very simply by just smashing the cartridge, and it reappears in my Atari. And then I put it in the garbage disposal. I really didn't put it in the garbage disposal. Movie magic, kids, movie magic. And it goes back into the Atari. So then I'm like, okay, let's have another idea here. So I do a couple more things. But I have an exorcist come in. I'm not gonna watch the video. You'll love it.
You have to watch it, guys. Subscribe to Dr. Scott's channel. There's a link in the description. Get on there, subscribe, check out the video. But go ahead.
Yeah. By the time you get to the very end, I have this epiphany. I've done everything I can. There's only one thing left to do, and I won't tell you what it is. And when you see, my wife, when she was helping me film this, because we live in an apartment building, and I actually had to get the shots that I wanted. I have several different green screens. I actually had to take one downstairs and put it on the ground, and I had to have the angle just right so I could try to match this one movie up that I had. And I had to have my camera from the balcony so I could have a down shot.
I know what scene you're talking about. I won't tell everybody, but I know exactly what scene you're talking about.
And it's only for 2 seconds you see me. That's it.
I know, but I was amazed that you were able to do that when I saw that. I'm like, how did he get that shot?
But oddly, that is one of my favorite ones because there's things in the video while you're watching. The demon will pop up here or there, or you'll see the cartridge change. You know, you'll see the eye of, you'll see like a maybe like a pentagram on it, and and I actually have a shirt that it has the I should have worn that for the video, and it says Red Rum on it, and it has the Pac-Man on it, and it's, you know, it's evil, and it's yeah, it's I think it says for use. I think I put for use with holy water controllers or something like that. I forget exactly what, but some of my videos do just that, and I try to do something different every once in a while. Like when I did the Zombieland double tap one, I had a lot of fun with that one because, of course, Woody Harrelson, who's in the Zombieland movies, he was also in the classic television show Cheers, which was one of my favorite shows. So
He's also a Buckeye, by the way.
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yeah, Hamilton, Ohio, just up the road from me.
Yeah, and I end up it wasn't animation per se, but it's kind of like a, you know, kind of a very crude animation, almost like Monty Python in a way, how they used to do stuff. And I have, you know, Ted Danson as Sam Malone. Then I have I make the correlation that the character from his movie is still Woody from the TV show, and Sam comes and gets him and drags him back to the bar. Now that's happening. I actually act as if it's deleted scenes from the movie Zombieland. So I'm reviewing the game, but, you know, kind of cut in between in 4 or 5 different places. I'm like, I have deleted scenes from the movie Zombieland that I want to show you guys, and I show you this crazy stuff, and I even though I'm the one who wrote it, I will watch it every once in a while, and I'll just get a chuckle out of it myself. And I've actually gotten a comment here or there. Once again, one of those videos that has hardly gotten any views, 168 views, and that was from almost a year ago. And it could be just because people are like, Zombieland double tap, what game is that? It's kind of obscure, but the comedy is there, and the review is there as well. And it's a twin stick shooter. It's a very, very fun game. But I do that with a lot of the stuff. Maneater, I did something similar with Maneater, but I used actual lines from the movie Jaws, and I took cutouts of characters and stuff, and I kind of threw these sound effects and these one-liners in just from the movie Jaws. And that's a rare occasion because a lot of the time I do stuff myself.
Well, you know, Mike from Mike's Gaming Gala, he's got a background in movie production. He's actually worked in I think he said he was in somehow in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he had
my favorite movie.
Yeah. But we've talked, and my recollection was that he's seen some of your videos, and he's expressed that how impressed he was with a lot of the production value that you've had, and a lot of your videos. And for him to say that, that's high praise.
That is
Scott, you know, so you have an amazing channel, you really do. And I wanted to say, I know you didn't win YouTuber of the Month, but you very easily could have won, and the only reason that you didn't win was because it was a popularity contest. It wasn't because it wasn't a panel of judges who made the decision. you know what I mean? Had it been a panel of judges, you very well could have won.
And that's fine anyway, because, you know, when I saw what the prizes were and stuff, I was, you know, and I said this in my little promo videos. I didn't know if the crown and the dress would fit, and I do like roses, but they die so quickly. But the 1978 Buick Skylark would have been nice. So I mean, I could have used that.
Well, that's what I said when I won. I said, YouTuber of the Month and $1.50 would get me a cup of coffee, But one thing it has done, and even just the nomination alone, what it has done for a lot of you guys, and I hope you feel the same way. It has made relationships with other people, and helped network with other content creators, and actually helped grow your channel to an extent.
It has a little bit, yeah. And all the guys except for, I can't remember the guy's name, the one who was from, I believe, was it Portugal?
Maniacos Portari.
Yeah, I mean he looks like he has a pretty cool channel there, but since I don't speak Portuguese, I was like,
I don't
if you were
either. He
speaking,
just looked exciting to me, so I
yeah,
nominated him.
if he was speaking Spanish, I could have followed along a little bit, but Portuguese, I can't go there. But the other guys have all contacted me. Now, here's what I do want to say though. I mean, I um I will very happily collaborate with just about anybody. Um, but I I do keep my head down a lot of the times because I keep it buried in what I'm working on. So if somebody contacts me or, and if I don't get back to them, it's not because I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to you, I'm so French. No, I am, my last name is French. I'm not from France, but no, it's just because I sometimes I have Swiss cheese for a memory, but I will get around to this, or I have to be reminded 1,000 times because I'd like to collaborate with everybody there. I'd have to learn Portuguese to help, to collaborate with him, but that's just a long road. So we probably won't do a whole lot.
No, well, you know what? I told you what happened with that. When Chris from the Real Bit Wars was telling me about who I had to nominate, he said whoever I nominated had to accept the nomination.
Yeah.
And so when I found Maniacos Portari, when I contacted him, I had to do Google Translate to ask him. So when I got a hold,
you want to do what?
Yeah. So I had to translate it in Portuguese, and I had to find a video to send it to him, and he replied, and when he replied in Portuguese, he said he just said, yes, I will.
Yeah, that's great.
And so then I let Chris know, and so when I sent the video to him, and when the video went live, I sent him the link, and to Maniacos Portari. When I did, he deleted it.
Oh no.
Yeah, so he just kind of fell off the planet after that. So that was it for Maniacos Portari. But he got a number of votes. I don't know, he still got a number of votes, even though, yeah. So, but anyway, be that as it may, the other four of you guys, regardless, all of you guys are amazing channels and are still deserving, regardless of how the vote turned out. And I consider all of you guys friends, and would love to collaborate with all of you guys. And I'm so excited to have you guys as part of the channel, and to see how you guys go. You know what? You are right there. I know you may not think it, but you are closer than you think, man. You're going to be at 1,000 within a month or so.
Yeah,
you're going to be there. You're right there.
It gets, of course, it's funny if you have 20 or 30,000 subscribers and one or two fall off, you don't notice it. But if you've only got 172 and one falls off, you go, hey,
what happened?
Yeah, and that's okay, because we all subscribe and unsubscribe to different people, and and I know that sometimes that maybe somebody came along and maybe I'm not their flavor of a tea, and that's fine. Or maybe they came on for one other reason or another, and they were just like, well, I'm helping a friend do this or whatever. Because I know my buddy Retro Rob, he was running he was trying to get me up to 1,000 by running a contest. And the contest was basically, hey, I've got a switch here. It was a switch light. He had a couple other really cool things, and subscribe to Game Closet. And then his Facebook page is fantastic, and he's on Facebook, so look him up. That's Retro Rob, and he has around he's getting close to 14,000 followers. He was like, hey, make a comment on this post or any of the posts that I make on it. And I'm just going to write all these names down, put them in a hat. And when Scott hits 1,000, when I have a verification of 1,000 and we were doing it within a month, and God bless him, he was just like, he just did it, and he's like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool if I did this. He just does these things because he's generous, and he's kind, and he makes me laugh, and he's just a fun person, and we've become very good friends. And that first week, it was like, what the heck is going on? And when we saw the post and it was going up, we got like within like a day, there was like 100 100 subscribers. I'm like, what's going on here? I realized that there are going to be a few people who are just in it to, get free stuff. That's, and that's fine. That's great. And if that's what you came for and you won, good for you. But we didn't get to the 1,000. He did extend it because it was going very well. He's like, okay, we're going to extend it because I'm really curious to see where this goes. And it slowed down, and then that was it. And we never hit the 1,000 before the beginning of July. And he was just like, well, I can't possibly give this away. And maybe some of the people who are dropping off are the ones who are just in it to, they didn't want to help out the channel. They didn't want to check out, videos or stuff. That's fine. If you're not into that sort of thing, that's fine. I get it. I totally get it. And if those people are dropping off, that's fine.
But
too.
you know what? That's going to happen, because that happens to me too, and that happens to
everybody
creator. But you know what?
And I am subscribed to people too. I do, because
we all do it. But you know what, Scott? You've got great content, man. You really got great content, and all you got to do, man, is keep your foot on that accelerator. Just keep it going. Just keep it going, man. I love your channel. You've got an amazing personality. I love your daughter too, man. I tell you what, you keep putting your daughter on there, man. You're gonna have matter of fact, you could probably just quit putting yourself on there and just put your daughter on there. I think you'll probably get probably 1 million subscribers.
You never
put your daughter on there.
Yeah, you never know.
I'm just kidding. No, but seriously though, you've got an amazing channel and you got an amazing family, and not only that, you've got great gaming knowledge, and I love your channel. So I appreciate all you've done, and I appreciate your friendship, and I'm so excited to see what the future holds for Game Closet.
Well, we do have some really exciting stuff coming up for season 3. I kind of slowed down at the end of I was supposed to have closed season 2 out with our second anniversary special, which is going to be live. And as a matter of fact, fingers crossed, it will be this coming Wednesday, which I believe is the 2nd, isn't it? 2nd at 7:00, and it'll be on Facebook and on my YouTube channel. It'll be, both on my Facebook page, and it'll be on Game Closet. It'll be live, and I'll be joined by 3 friends. Retro Rob will be there, and Technish Gene from Caps Off Gaming, and Johnny Graphics from Johnny Graphics. He's going to be on there as well. And I'm going to be showing a bunch of clips from this past year, just a few clips here and there. And we're going to show, there might be a couple clips from last year, a couple of my favorites. And the show will probably be about half hour, 40 minutes. And basically, we're going to sit there and just watch the clips. Everybody gets to make fun of me or laugh or whatever as much as they want. I don't care. I mean, for a guy who has poured cherry pie filling over his head and dressed up as a cheerleader in a video, I will gladly sit there and do that, because I'm hoping that we can get some laughs. And my goal, especially with this, is not to just close out the season so I can begin filming for season 3, which I've got some really fun stuff going on there. My goal, if I can get this done in the next couple of days, but if not, there is a charity that I'm at least going to mention it and say, hey, I want to point you guys toward this charity. I may not be raising the money myself, but I want to point people towards this charity and say, hey, go to their website, give. It's a very worthy cause. I'm not going to say what it is now, but people who will see this, they'll go, we know who that is. And I hope they can open up their wallets even in these trying times. $1 from 1 million people, not that 1 million people is going to tune in, but $1 from 1 million people is better than $1,000 from one person. And
absolutely.
So, but if we can get a few laughs and get just one person to open their wallet up and say, hey, here's $1, here's $5 for this cause, which is a very, very worthy cause. And it's a very large charity. So hopefully we can have a few laughs, have some fun, and do some good at the same time.
Well, there you go. You guys need to subscribe to Scott's channel. You guys need to tune in, check that out. You don't want to miss that episode. It's going to be entertaining, and you don't want to miss that. So, all right, Scott, thank you so much for hanging out with me and to help celebrate the episode with us.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Once again, congratulations. And your episode on your VCS. I have that in my queue, and I cannot wait to watch that one because I'd love to have a VCS myself. So
Well,
I
be
can't wait to check
prepared.
that
There
one
may
out.
be some issues.
It's Atari. I'm always prepared for issues. But
that's
thank you.
okay.
But
we'll
yeah,
get it fixed. We'll get it fixed.
But I appreciate it. Thank you again for having me on. It's just been fantastic. Anytime I can talk to a friend is better than sitting here talking to myself, right?
Hey man, all right, brother. Well, just do me a favor when you hit that 1,000 here in the next few weeks, and you do the same thing. Just have me on your show, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay,
That'd be great.
bro. All right, man. Thanks for hanging out.
No problem. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Well, guys, thanks for watching this episode. There's one more. We'll be showing it very soon. Thanks for watching.